If you're running an NDIS business, cash flow is probably one of the things that keeps you up at night. And here's the thing, it's not always because you're not making enough money. A lot of the time it's because the NDIS price guide sets your rates for you. Your margin is pretty much fixed. There's not a lot of room to move. So even when money does come in, there isn't enough left to build a real buffer. You end up operating week to week. And when you combine that with the NDIA's payment window, which can be anywhere from 2 to 10 days, or a slow plan manager, or an endorsement that wasn't sorted before support started, the impact is immediate. In this video, I'm just gonna walk through some of the strategies that can actually make a difference in cash flow and some things that I highly recommend considering as a business owner in 2026. So the first one is an overdraft account. So get it before you need it. This is the real safety net. If the NDIA or a plan manager or a self-manager is slow to process payments, you need to be able to pay your workers, right? You need to cover your overheads and keep the business moving. An overdraft doesn't cost you anything when you're not using it, but it's great if you have a crisis or payments are getting delayed. You've got that as a backup. Super easy to apply for one, and generally you'll need it in an emergency and you won't want to go and set it up if it's too late. So the next one is getting a cash reserve, right? An overdraft is your safety net, but a cash reserve is something that you own. You don't have to worry about going and getting stuck into your overdraft, potentially paying fees on some of that, depending on your payback terms. And you can just rely on your buffer to get you through those times when payments are slowing down. And so you want to aim for like 2 to 4 weeks. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but again, it's hard to even get to that point as a provider because the margins and the profitability in the space just isn't there. So if you can get 4 weeks, then that's amazing. So I would try and aim for 4 weeks. If you can get more, even better. And when I say like 4 weeks, I mean like 4 weeks of operating costs. Now what you want to do is just park that in a savings account and then just have it there for a rainy day in the event that payments are getting delayed or cash flow is getting tight. Now you can build this gradually, put aside a percentage each week or each fortnight until you hit that target. Even just a small buffer, it completely changes the stress levels inside a business. If you're running week to week and you are really desperate for one payment to go through so you can make payroll, that's a huge problem. And so the third one is getting your endorsement process right. So you want to do this before support start generally. This is one that can catch a lot of providers off guard. They start delivering support, they assume that they've got endorsement, they go to invoice, all of a sudden they haven't got endorsement and it slows down the payment process. Now, sometimes you might be working with complex participants or someone who is nonverbal or is unable to actually give that endorsement directly. So you've got to work with stakeholders as well. So just be conscious of that. If you don't get that endorsement up front, you might need to work through that participants network to really make that happen. And that could take like weeks or even months. So imagine, delivering 4 weeks worth of support, trying to get paid for it, then having to wait another 4 weeks. Like that is a huge hit to your cash flow. So the rule's simple, no support starts until the endorsement is confirmed. Now to help with this, you need to make endorsement easy for a participant. Now that could be like a guide, like a how-to guide on how they can endorse you. Maybe you put together a short video which kind of explains the process and you might make it a QR code or a link and you might share that with them at intake so they know exactly what to do so you can help speed up that process. Essentially, you want to do whatever you can to remove that friction. The easier it is, the faster it gets done and the faster you can start delivering support and claiming for what you've delivered. So number 4, plan expiry dates. So the real risk here isn't invoicing past the plan expiry date, it's delivering services past the plan expiry date. So if you're continuing to roster and deliver supports after a participant's plan has expired, you're doing work with no guarantee you're going to be paid for it. There's no certainty that the next plan will have similar funding or any funding for that matter, unless you've already got something, in place, a service agreement. A coordinator's kind of implied or guaranteed that there's going to be funding and they want the same supports to continue. Maybe you've had a plan rollover or something like that. Different circumstances here. But if you've got no verbal confirmation, if you've got no information and you're continuing to deliver services, that's a real risk. So you need to know when every participant's plan is due to expire, and you should probably track the expiry date of that as well so you can take action put supports on pause, touch base with stakeholders, see what's happening for the next plan, see if they want to continue services with your organization, and act before it's too late. Now, good software should flag this for you automatically, or have some sort of notification system that can alert the relevant people in your business when the plan is going to end so they can take action. Now, if your software doesn't, it's easy to build a manual process. Use a calendar reminder. Make sure that the person's doing intake is setting up these reminders and things like that. A recurring task, if you use some sort of task management software, whatever puts that date at the forefront. Now, self-managed payment terms. So I would have strict payment terms on your self-managed participants, and really just for all your participants for that matter, whether that's on your invoices to plan managers or your invoices to self-managed participants. I mean, you can't really do it on a bulk upload. The NDIA is going to do what they're going to do, but you can still have, 14-day payment terms on your self and plan managed invoices that are getting sent out. You probably wouldn't want to have like 30-day payment terms or anything like that. That's going to be a bit too slow to receive payment, and you don't want to kick the can down the road and push cash flow out and create more risk for your business. So I would put, 14 days. I've seen providers do 7 days. Whether that can be guaranteed or not, who knows, but a lot of people will put that on their invoice as well. All right, so number 6, reconcile your books every single day. Now, for small businesses, that's probably not really possible, but if you've got an in-house bookkeeper or in-house accounts manager, they can be reconciling your books every single day. They can be following up with outstanding accounts, updating all your accounts receivable, making sure your bank feed is connected, and ensuring that your business has really good information around what's outstanding and putting in processes to follow up with those outstanding invoices just to keep cash flow coming in and not waiting until the end of the month to follow up with everyone. So spreading your large expenses, number 7. So don't let your large expenses land in the same month. Your workers' comp, your PAYG, your business activity statement, all of your software subscriptions. What you want to do is you want to try and spread this stuff out across the year. If you get hit with several big expenses all in one month, it's going to be a cash flow problem, right? So you want to try and spread those out. Talk to your accountant, talk to your bookkeeper, see if there's flexibility for any of these sorts of things. See if you can have monthly payment terms. You might have a lot of annual subscriptions coming out of one month. See if you can do something to change that so it's not all hitting you at once. So number 8, reconcile your Proto files quickly. So for registered providers, uploading bulk upload claims through Proto, the platform gives you 2 distinct files, a receipt file and a payment summary file. Now, the payment summary file, it normally takes about 24 hours to come back to you. The receipt file, it can come back to you in generally like 60 minutes. And so what that means is if you get the receipt file, you spot the errors early, and you can make the necessary adjustments or chat to a participant, ask for the endorsement, or get the service booking made. Whatever the thing is that you need to fix to ensure that the cash is still coming in for the services that you've delivered means that your cash flow is not going to take a big hit. If you have to wait for the payment summary file and then it takes you, a day or 2 to get that, then it takes you 2 days to follow up. There's 4 days lost when you could have chased and followed up in the same day with that receipt file. So I highly recommend, if you don't know about the receipt file, just do a quick Google, find out where you can get it from so you know exactly what's going to be paid at the earliest time possible, way before the payment summary. All right, number 9. So eliminate funding period invoice errors. Recently, funding periods came in, and what that means for providers, some plan managers are asking providers to go and split the invoices where they cross over a funding period, or there's 2 funding periods. So you deliver supports from Monday to Friday, funding period ends and begins in the middle. You need to split the invoice and send the plan manager 2 invoices based on the funding periods. And if you've got a lot of participants that have this and a lot of plan managers are coming back to you asking you to redo those invoices, that's a lot of rework. It's pushing payments out later than they could be coming in. And so what you really want is a software that is smart enough to split the invoices automatically based on the funding periods. So there's no risk of this happening because it's all happening automatically as part of your weekly normal process. All right, the last one here is invoice frequency. So if your cash flow is tight, one of the simplest adjustments to make is invoicing more often. So a lot of providers will do like fortnightly invoices, weekly invoices, but I'm starting to see more providers do it daily. Now you might think that invoicing daily sounds like a lot of work, but the reality is there's a lot of software out there that can automate this and invoice for you in just a couple of clicks. So there you go, 10 strategies that actually move the needle when it comes to improving cash flow in your NDIS business. None of them change your rates, but all of them reduce the pressure that comes from avoidable process gaps. And so if you want to see how Astalty handles some of that stuff, like daily invoicing, managing funding periods, plan expiry notifications, head to astalty.com.au, start your free 14-day trial, or you can book a discovery call and we can show you exactly how the whole thing works.